It is official. It is official. Guys, Caitlin Clark is officially out for the remainder of the season.
Not surprising at this point, but still incredibly disappointing. Caitlin Clark officially done for the 2025 WNBA season, as she and the Fever announced on social media.
Caitlin Clark just crushed the last bit of hope Indiana Fever fans were holding on to. After months of vague updates, cryptic interviews, and more false promises than a used car dealership, she finally came out and said it. She's done for the season. She finally came out and said it. She's done for the season.
And this is what Caitlin wrote. I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty.
Not coming back, not even for the playoffs. And the internet? Yeah, it immediately imploded. And let's be clear, this wasn't a last-minute decision. Nope, Clark's been grinding in the gym for weeks, maybe even months, shooting, rehab light drills, looking just healthy enough to tease a comeback. But in the end, not enough time. Her body said no, and the front office finally stopped pretending like she was going to pull off a miracle.
They've told us for months that this girl is day-to-day. For months, they've told us she's day-to-day, when they knew that wasn't the truth. They knew it wasn't the truth. What did they do? They decided to continue to collect funds from people, having hopes that she would show up and play.
But here's where things start to get real messy. This wasn't just about her health. It became a full-blown soap opera of mixed messages. One day it was, she's day-to-day. The next day, we'll reevaluate after practice. And all the while, people kept buying tickets. Viewership kept climbing. Fans kept waiting. And Caitlin Clark, who, let's be honest, has carried the WNBA on her back this entire season, was being dangled in front of everyone like a carrot. And what did she say when she finally broke the news? In classic Caitlin style, she kept it real. She said she was disappointed, which is the kindest way of saying she's probably ready to throw something at a wall. She talked about how hard she worked, how much she wanted to return, and how grateful she was for the support. But don't let the positive vibes fool you. This was brutal. This wasn't just a player missing games. This was the league losing its biggest draw.
They're doing this, guys, because Caitlin, I'm hella mad, bro. Because they want to sell these tickets, bro. They want to get the last little bit of money they can. So they're keep stringing us along that she's going to come back. When in actuality, Stephanie White told us 2 days ago, they're worried about Caitlin Clark long-term health over right now. I'm telling you, so basically to me, this is my theory. They told us 2 days ago, they're worried about Caitlin Clark long-term health. Left up to me, I don't think she comes back, but I want to know you guys' thoughts right now. Keep them bells on, because I'm coming right back with another one. And like always, shake the damn haters off. I'm out of here, bro. Peace out.
The Fever losing their only shot at momentum, and fans losing the one reason they kept showing up or tuning in. She played just 13 games this season. 13. That's it. The hype, the record-breaking ratings, the sold-out arenas, all built on 13 games. And now, the season marches on without her. Here's the kicker though, this could have all been avoided, because according to the Indiana Fever's own injury reports, press conferences, and carefully worded statements, this wasn't a last-minute realization. There were signs for weeks that Clark wasn't coming back. The injuries weren't healing fast enough. She wasn't doing full contact, but still, they kept the mystery alive. Why? Well, you don't have to be a genius to figure that out.
At the end of the day, I felt it through how she was talking. You know, she hasn't had any physical contact throughout the practices that they had so far. And yeah, I was like, man, it's only 3 games left.
The Indiana Fever kept dangling hope in front of fans like a carrot on a stick, and people kept biting. Every press conference came with the same vague promise. We'll know more after this weekend. And then the weekend would pass. Nothing. Then it was, we're still evaluating. Still nothing. Meanwhile, people were showing up to games expecting to see the biggest name in basketball, and then leaving with a free towel and an empty seat where Clark should have been. But let's back up for a second, because this entire timeline makes 0 sense. Clark hadn't played since mid-July. That's nearly 2 months ago, and in that time, there were no clear updates. The team just kept saying she was improving. Improving how? We don't know, because anytime someone asked if she'd done contact drills or full court practice, it was a word salad of non-answers. They acted like keeping secrets was part of their playoff strategy, and when footage did finally leak of Clark doing light drills and running up and down the court, the team still didn't budge. The coach said she hadn't done enough contact. The GM said there wasn't enough time left.
She hasn't been able to do a whole lot of contact, so she's been able to get up.
So, you mean to tell me, from 2 days ago till today, Caitlin's still not doing contact? When we just seen Caitlin doing this the other day? I mean, she was just doing this 2 days ago. 2 days ago. 2 days ago.
And the fans, they were still holding on because for some reason they actually believed this front office was being honest. Now here's where the whole situation turns into a circus. 2 days before the announcement, Stephanie White gave an interview saying they were still evaluating Clark's progress. Still, after weeks of saying the same thing, then boom, just like that, Caitlin drops the bombshell. Season over, no return, done. So we're supposed to believe that between Wednesday and Friday, the Fever just suddenly realized she wasn't coming back? Come on, they knew. They just didn't want to admit it until they squeezed every last bit of hype out of the situation.
The Indiana Fever also had an article where they quoted, "Caitlin has worked so hard throughout this time, doing everything possible to recover and return to the court. But ultimately, time is not on our side," said Indiana Fever COO and GM Amber Cox.
Every last view, every last ticket sale. And if you think this was just about timing, think again, because it wasn't just Caitlin's groin or quad that ended the season. It was the ankle. That's right. While everyone was focused on her leg injury, she quietly picked up a bone bruise in her left ankle during a workout in Phoenix. And when did the Fever tell us that? 2 weeks after it happened. 2 weeks. That injury delayed everything. But instead of just saying it, they acted like nothing was wrong. Just more day-to-day talk. Just more smoke and mirrors. And people bought it because they trusted the team. Big mistake. Caitlin's official statement came straight from the heart. She said she hoped to give a better update, but couldn't. She said she was disappointed. And honestly, that word doesn't even begin to describe the situation. This isn't just a bad ending. It's a season that never really started. And yet somehow, the Fever made it worse by dragging their feet every step of the way. Now let's talk about what really made this whole thing sting. LeBron James. Yeah, he chimed in. Even he had to weigh in on Caitlin's announcement. Called it a minor setback for a major comeback. That's how massive this is.
LeBron James commenting, minor setback for major comeback, rest up, get healthy, and be you. Like, that is as good a response you can get from arguably the greatest player to ever live.
It's not just a WNBA story, it's a sports world story. Caitlin Clark was supposed to be the face of the league, the ticket selling machine, the headline maker. And now she's gone. Not injured and questionable, gone. Out, and the WNBA. You can practically hear the panic echoing through the front office. Because let's be real, Caitlin Clark was the whole marketing plan. Her face was everywhere. Commercials, jerseys, front row seats sold out in minutes. Her first 13 games carried the entire season, and now they're left holding empty promises and a postseason that just lost its biggest name. But what makes this whole thing even uglier is the timing. Right before the playoffs, right when the buzz should have been peaking. Instead, fans are frustrated, confused, and honestly, kinda done because they feel lied to, not just disappointed, lied to. The franchise kept saying she was close, kept saying she wants to be out there, and Clark did want to be out there. She said it herself, she worked for it, she didn't let up. But when your team keeps acting like maybe she'll suit up next week, maybe she'll be ready for the next homestand, maybe, it turns fans into suckers. And it wasn't just the fans who noticed the chaos. Every interview, every press conference, every post-game question about Caitlin turned into a mumble fest of nonsense. Reporters were asking for clarity. The team was dodging like it was dodgeball. And then, boom, done for the year. Now the trust is broken, not just between the fans and the front office, but between the league and its audience. Because when the biggest star in the game disappears and no one gives a straight answer, people stop watching, people stop buying, people stop believing. Let's not forget, Caitlin Clark didn't just vanish. She was right there on the sidelines, smiling, warming up, running non-contact drills. The Fever even showed her in practice footage. You could see her jogging up and down the court. It wasn't like she disappeared off the face of the earth. So fans were thinking, okay, she's close. They were connecting the dots. But what they didn't know, there was a missing piece. And that missing piece was the ankle injury nobody talked about. That bone bruise changed everything. It wasn't just her quad or her groin. The ankle was the final nail in the comeback coffin. And the worst part, they sat on that information like it was some big secret. They didn't say a word until it was already too late. Weeks went by, and fans kept holding on, thinking maybe, just maybe, she'd return. And what does that say about the Fever's communication? It says they weren't interested in honesty. They were interested in stretching the illusion for as long as they could, and fans paid the price, literally. But let's zoom out and look at what this really cost the league. This wasn't just one player missing a season. This was the WNBA watching its momentum evaporate. Clark was the story. Every arena she played in turned into a sold-out event. Every jersey with her name on it flew off the shelves. And now, it's all stopped. The highlight reels, the interviews, the double-digit assists and logo threes, gone. Sure, the Fever are still technically in the playoff race, but let's not kid ourselves. Without Caitlin Clark, the energy's just not there. The spotlight dimmed, the buzz faded, and the WNBA's biggest ratings weapon is now watching from the bench in street clothes. And if you think this was just bad luck, think again, because this isn't the first time the team fumbled a high-stakes situation. People were already frustrated with coaching decisions, players being overused, others mysteriously benched. The rotation has been a mystery for months, and now the handling of Clark's injury has completely unraveled whatever trust was left. It's not just about her not playing, it's about how the team handled every step of her absence. Poor communication, delayed updates, public confusion, and then a last-minute announcement as if fans wouldn't notice the mess behind the scenes. Caitlin Clark didn't just power through college as the most watched athlete in the country. She walked into the WNBA with the weight of an entire league on her shoulders, and for a while, she carried it. But the second her body hit a wall, the organization folded like a beach chair. No real plan, no real updates, just corporate silence disguised as player-first care. Let's just call it what it is. Damage control. The minute things got serious, the Fever started scrambling. They knew they couldn't keep pretending she was almost back forever. So what did they do? They ran the clock out. They made it look like they were still evaluating, still deciding, still thinking. Meanwhile, the ankle was bruised, the timeline was gone, and the season was slipping away. And the worst part, they didn't just waste time, they wasted trust. Clark deserved transparency. The fans deserved honesty. And instead, they all got spin. But there's something even bigger looming in the background. The CBA? That's right. The league and the players are heading toward a showdown. Contract negotiations, revenue splits, player conditions, all of it is on the table. And if you think the way Clark's injury was handled didn't light a fire under some of those discussions, you haven't been paying attention. Because the moment teams start prioritizing headlines over health, you've got a problem that's bigger than one player. And guess what happens if the CBA negotiations go sideways? Lockout. No 2026 season, no Clark, no progress, just silence. And let's be honest, the WNBA can't afford that, not after building its entire marketing engine around a rookie who didn't even make it past game 13. And if that doesn't make you nervous, it should. This is more than just an injury story. This is a warning sign. If teams keep mishandling star players, if the league keeps dancing around transparency, and if fans keep getting burned, there won't be any momentum left to save. Clark's out. The Fever are fumbling. The league is walking a tightrope, and everyone's just hoping it doesn't snap. The only thing worse than bad news is fake hope. And that's exactly what the Indiana Fever sold to their fan base all season. They kept saying Caitlin Clark was close. They kept hinting at her return. They let her warm up in front of packed arenas, let the crowd get excited, and then walked away like nothing happened. It wasn't just misleading, it was manipulative. And the fallout from that is already showing. Season ticket holders are angry. Social media is flooded with fans saying they feel tricked. And it's not just about missing one player. It's about about the fact that people were paying full price to see Caitlin Clark and never got her. Some traveled across the country, others shelled out hundreds just for the chance to say they saw her live. And now, all they've got is a souvenir cup and regret. And let's not pretend this didn't hit the WNBA's reputation either. This was supposed to be the breakthrough year, the year of record-breaking ratings, packed arenas, and mainstream buzz. And it was for a while. But when your biggest star disappears and nobody knows what's going on, that buzz dies fast. So what now? Well, now the league is scrambling to patch the holes. They'll talk about rising stars and next woman up. They'll hype the playoffs like nothing's changed, but everybody knows it has. Because Caitlin Clark wasn't just a player, she was the main event, the headliner, the one name even casual fans could recognize. Now she's watching from the sidelines, and the league is holding its breath, praying she comes back healthy, committed, and still willing to carry the weight they dumped on her from day one. But it won't be that simple. There's a lot to unpack in the offseason. Will Clark stay in the WNBA? Will she test overseas play to stay sharp? Will the Fever fix their leadership issues? And most importantly, will fans ever fully trust the league again after being strung along for months? This was more than an injury. It was a trust breaker. And if the WNBA wants to keep the momentum it built, it better start being honest with its stars and with its audience. Let's get one thing straight. Caitlin Clark didn't tap out. She was pushed out by a perfect storm of injuries and an organization that couldn't get its act together. She tried everything: rehab drills, staying engaged with the team. She didn't vanish. She showed up, but the return was never going to happen. Not with a bruised ankle, a strained groin, and a team that wouldn't just say the words, "She's done." And now fans are left cleaning up the mess. They're the ones who feel played. They're the ones who bought in. They're the ones who stayed loyal while the team kept flipping the script. It's not the injury that hurts them. It's the months of being told she was on the edge of returning when that was never the case. That's what burns. Not the loss of games, but the loss of trust. And while some fans will forgive and forget, others won't. They'll remember how the team said one thing and did another, how they sold hope instead of honesty, how they treated Caitlin Clark like a promotional tool instead of a person trying to heal. But what really matters now is what happens next. Because this isn't just about this season, it's about what kind of league the WNBA wants to be. Do they prioritize player health or public relations? Do they communicate transparently or spin until the last second? And when the next big star arrives, will they be honest with the fans or run the same playbook? Caitlin Clark will bounce back. That's a given. Her skill, her presence, her fan base, they're not going anywhere. But if the WNBA doesn't take a long, hard look at how it handled this entire saga, it might not be so lucky. And one more thing no one's talking about. If Clark doesn't return in full force, who's left to carry the brand? Who's got the same draw, the same pull, the same gravity she has? The answer is simple: no one, which means the stakes just got even higher. And that's why this wasn't just a bad ending to a bad season. This was a wake-up call. For months, the Indiana Fever kept telling everyone Caitlin Clark was close. But how close is close when you've got a bone bruise, strained muscles, and 0 full contact practices? Spoiler alert, not close at all. The team just didn't want to say it out loud, because once they admitted she wasn't coming back, the hype machine stopped spinning. And that machine was running on borrowed time. You could feel it in the interviews, the coach dodging questions, the front office clinging to vague phrases like "we're hopeful." Even Clark's body language started to say it all. Smiling, but quiet. Present, but not active. She knew, they knew, everybody knew, but no one wanted to be the one to say the season was already over for her. And now that it's finally out, it feels like a balloon popped. All the air rushed out at once. That momentum, gone. The playoff push, a whisper. The excitement around Fever games, flatlined. Because whether the team wants to admit it or not, everything was built around her. But let's shift gears and look at the bigger threat next season. The CBA negotiations aren't just background noise. They're a storm cloud forming fast. If the players and the league can't agree on terms, we're looking at a lockout. And that means no basketball, no Fever redemption arc, no Clark comeback tour, nothing. Just a whole lot of wasted opportunity. And think about that for a second. The WNBA just had the biggest surge in public interest in its history. And now it might pull the plug over a labor dispute. If that happens, Caitlin Clark's rookie year will end up as a glitch glitch in the timeline, a single season that exploded, fizzled, and then vanished. And honestly, that would be a disaster, because she's not just good for the league, she is the league right now. The one player everyone watches, the name that sells out arenas, and if she's sitting at home because the CBA went sideways, that's not just bad for business, it's a complete collapse of momentum. The WNBA can't afford to mess this up, not now, not after all this. Caitlin Clark's announcement wasn't just a medical update, it was the final domino, the last card in a hand the Fever had been bluffing for months. And now that it's on the table, everyone's seeing the truth. The team fumbled it, the league coasted on her name, and the fans were the ones left holding the bag. But the fallout isn't just emotional, it's structural. The WNBA built its marketing, media deals, and merch strategy around one player, and now she's unavailable, injured, possibly heading into an offseason where a lockout is on the table. That's not just inconvenient, it's a red alert. Let's be clear, this is a league that's trying to grow, trying to reach more people, trying to prove that women's basketball can stand toe-to-toe with the biggest sports brands. And for a few months it did, thanks to Caitlin, but growth without integrity, it's empty. And if this is how the league treats its biggest star, fans are going to start asking some serious questions. And don't be surprised if Caitlin Clark starts asking them too. She gave everything, played through the noise, carried the weight, and when it came time to support her through injury, the people around her turned it into a PR juggling act. If the WNBA wants to keep her, really keep her, they need to prove that player care isn't just a buzzword, it's a standard. Because the next few months will define everything. Will Clark rest and return stronger? Will the Fever rebuild trust with their fans? Will the league strike a CBA deal and avoid disaster? Or will this all just become a case study in how not to handle your biggest star? If you're enjoying this content and want to support the channel while staying up to date on stories like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thank you.